bring them on, ladies and gentlemen. All right, what's up, my people? And we are here with a very special guest. This is Mike, the man himself from Mike's Garage. If you're not following him on YouTube, you are missing out on a treat. This man has taken a stock, this is 03, 04? An 03 Mach 1, and Terminator swapped it. It's still an automatic trans, right?
Well, I actually swapped it to an auto. It was stick shift. I still have the clutch pedal in there.
So definitely go check Mike's Garage out on YouTube. Mike's Garage, right?
Yep, Mike's Garage.
So he has documented this thing meticulously, and I've been following him for quite a while now, and I've been watching since he's basically since he's torn the engine apart, went through, rebuilt it from basically just a bare block, right?
Yeah. Took it all the way down. So the engine's fully built, forged internals, wide scope pistons, K1 rods. It's got the Kellogg crank that was in it. I ported the heads, I ported the intake, I ported the exhaust manifolds, the SVEs to match the heads and the intake, so it's just nice and smooth going all the way through it. Stage 3 ported blower, Stegemeyer, billet flow 2.76 that I had custom ground to 2.60.
Wow.
It's auto swapped. It's got a built 470W that's good for 1,000 horsepower. So I should be about 650 at the engine, and then everything else is built behind it. I just have the rear end left to do, and once that's done, should be good to go.
Now, what kind of compression were you looking for on this?
I'm at 9.2 to 1, and the reason why I did it, I could have done 10 to 1, but I wanted to lower the compression so if E85 ever disappears, I can run 93 and I can still have the pulleys that I have and still hear the Eden. Otherwise, I'd have to drop the boost way down and then I can't hear the supercharger.
Now, you're using the pretty much the stock computer, right?
Stock computer, yeah.
And who's doing the tuning?
I'm working that out right now. I have one gentleman that is doing it, but haven't done the dyno session yet, so a little bit up in limbo right now, but trying to get that done.
Now, on your YouTube channel, you have your first start, you have your first drive. What else is next?
That is a great question. I mean, there's still more things to do to the car, but I want to expand out my content a little bit, look more into other cars and going more to car shows and things like that. I mean, there's only so much content you can do on one car. I will do other builds in the future, it just may take a little bit of time. The plan is to move to a different house a little bit later on and get a big old metal building, pole barn, and then have all my cars in it and then build all those up.
And then I can bring my car over there every time I need.
Well, this is true, but I'll probably be down south, so it might be a little bit of a drive for you.
Now, what tires are you running in the back?
So I'm running 275s in the back, and currently that's the weakest link because with the stock tires, when I shift into second gear, with just a little bit of throttle, it chirps them every time.
Chirps them every time.
So once I start putting down the serious power, it's just going to roast those. So I'm going to have stickier tires, probably the R888Rs. Those
are seem like the go-to right now. Everybody's going to those R888s.
The only thing that concerns me is I heard that there's a good amount of whine out of them. And I like a quiet car except for the supercharger.
Now, what's your plan for this car? Is this something you're going to daily drive, or is this like a weekend special, a track car?
This is just a weekend special. Probably never see the track. Just because it gets so expensive these days when they break that I just want to keep it for the street, and I think my wife would kill me if I started putting more money into this. So
you know, it's funny that you mentioned that, Mike, because we just bought a bone stock 02 GT,
yep.
And the first thing I want to do is just take it to the track and just like beat the crap out of it. But if it was my car, I'm like, I'm a little hesitant because, like you say, it gets so expensive when something breaks on these cars. You know, especially the amount of money that you put into the short block itself.
Well, in the car right now, I have double what it's worth just in parts.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll never get out of it what I have into it, but it's an amazing amount of fun. Every time I start it up, the miles per mile are just unbelievable.
And what about the exhaust?
So the exhaust right now, I had to put the H pipe back on, and I have the 40 series Flowmasters, but I also do have a Borla catted X pipe, and I'll be putting that back on at some point. And then I have Flowmaster Flow FX, which are equivalent to the MagnaFlows.
Okay.
So I'll be putting those on. Like I said before, I like a quieter exhaust. One thing that I did do, because I love hearing the supercharger, is since I'm no longer using my heater core, I actually have that plumbed into the Eden, so I'm using the heater core as a sound tube.
Yeah, that's great.
So even when you're out of boost, you can still hear the supercharger.
You can still hear the supercharger. Now you said your transmission was built, and I think I remember asking you about that, and it was a Darren from BCA Transmissions.
Yeah, Darren Birch.
Yeah, he's out of Indiana, right?
Yes, he is.
And what saw do you have?
3000.
A 3000. And how does that feel with the Eden? Is it a good?
It's a perfect match because the Eden is making max torque at 2,500 RPM, so you really don't need much stall.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is I could take off in second gear, and I really don't need first because that stall just wants to, let it go even in second.
Oh, great.
So that's actually kind of cool.
So that's my man Mike, and like I said, if you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, please do. This guy is very thorough in his builds. He explains everything meticulously, and you learn a lot. Like every time I watch his videos, I feel like I've learned something new. So definitely give his YouTube a subscribe and go ahead and follow him. Hey Mike, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.